Hello and welcome. I'm David, your home repair coach. We are moving right along here with our series on rebuilding this dining room chair that has a broken tenon. Now we've showed you, I did in the intro, we did the the platform for the drill guide, showed you how to measure and mark the stretcher, measure and mark the chair itself. Now is the moment of truth. We're going to actually go and glue this whole thing back together and see how it goes. And then after this, the only thing we'll have left is to put the seat on, and we'll be all wrapped up with this one. So I've made sure I got all my stuff pretty well ready to go here. I think it seems like I always manage to forget something, but I got all my parts here. I got my glue, got my hand towels. Wouldn't hurt to go ahead and pull one of these orange wipes out of the case. So we are ready to go. If we have any drips or spills here, maybe I'll even go ahead and set one of these blue shop towels out here as well. And I'm going to go ahead with one full pump of the epoxy using the West systems that I use for everything. I've talked about that in a few of the other chair building videos. If you haven't seen some of the videos on more basic chair repair, simpler pull apart and re-glue ones, don't need as much advanced repair, it's a good place to start. I'll cover some of this stuff, some of the different types of glues and how to mix them, pros and cons of different glues, a bunch of other stuff over there. But for this one, we're gonna just kind of jump right into it. Get that mixed up real good. And I don't want too much on that for this part, but I do kind of want it down in the hole. And of course, you know, with this brush I am over the edge a little bit already, but we'll have a good clean at the end, so it won't be too bad. And we'll do the dowel as well. A lot of glue on there. Maybe I should try to scrape a little bit off. We'll do the ends. I did kind of over drill this one just a tiny bit, so I will touch that up. But it's just a little mark right on the inside. And oh, I should do the rest of the dowel then. Not as worried about the ends, but I like getting them in the dowel and in the hole for maximum coverage, maximum adhesion. No, it really doesn't want to sit there on its own as well. Oh well, no worries. I think we'll go ahead then and do this leg first. Make sure that doesn't shift. I think, are we coming in on camera okay here? Still figuring this camera out there. Just brushing some all up into these finger joints here, all around this tenon here. I'm not worried too much about getting some down on here. Same thing here. I'll brush some onto this lower stretcher. And then we'll go ahead and we'll do the leg. Working some down in there. Again, not too worried about getting it up here. It's not actually really part of the glue joint. If we get a little there, theoretically, maybe it'll add a tiny amount of strength, but we're already plenty strong enough this way. And if we do get a little squeezing out, we'll clean it up, but we try to keep it to a minimum, not make too much of a mess. I should make sure that I got the right legs here. Yes. So these ones I labeled right and left as I'm facing them. And see, I got tape on them, and I marked them. Kind of tap that down a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect, but we want to just kind of start getting that in place. I guess the one downside of doing that one first, I don't know if you get quite as good a visual of this other side, but pretty much the same thing. A little bit of glue into these finger joints on these cross braces here. A little bit on this tenon over here will work in. Then we'll take this leg and we'll go ahead and we'll just get some of this epoxy down into these mortises here. Work that around good. And with the brush, check it with the light to see. You're putting it on pretty thick, so I don't have to spend too much time brushing it around. We'll have some squeeze out, but we'll get that cleaned up. Won't be that big of a thing. Again, just kind of tap them on down there gently. And then we just got a piece on the front. And the one thing to keep in mind with this is it's really easy to go into autopilot and just fill all of this finger joining here with epoxy, but really it's only coming out to probably about here, I think. You can kind of eyeball it, but and then maybe stay a little bit inside that line, because again, we got epoxy on the other part that it's mating with. So we'll get some there. Do these first. I think they'll probably drip a little bit less than the tenons if we did the tenons first. Not really too critical. And brush them all up on those tenons there. Not too worried about the ends, but why not? You can see there's a few little glue spots there, but with the epoxy, I'm not real worried about cleaning those off. Just scrape and sand too much, you start loosening the fit. The epoxy is pretty forgiving of little gaps and imperfections. Don't take that to mean just do whatever. It doesn't have to be fit tight, but okay. Now I thought I was going to be able to get this in here by bending these. Most of the other ones came all the way apart. I'm flexing that a lot. And then it's kind of not a perfect way to do this when they're not, when the other part has not all come apart. Because of course if you do that first, then you're fighting that direction a little bit. But not to worry, there's a little flex in there. Use the mallet if we have to. You could actually, maybe I should show you this little, you can use a bar or a screwdriver. Obviously you want to be very careful, you can chip it up. But I can feel that my fingers are actually quite sore after doing that. I have very strong fingers. So we can always use a little flat bar, which I thought I had handy to show you, but maybe not. Aha, here we go. So I think I showed you these in the intro video as well. A little Titan stainless steel bar. They get bigger, smaller ones. You know, you can flex them. Those are great for moving things into place too. Or you can use a screwdriver or another type of flat bar. You know, it's all good. Take the blue towel here. I'm going to get a few of these, just kind of the bulk of this glue up here. This is not maybe your best solution for getting all of it off, but you can pick up some of the bulk, and then you can kind of use the wet wipes to really do a final clean on them. A lot of times works well. You can absolutely just use the wet wipes too. I'll go ahead and we'll stand this upright. Looks like everything's sitting together very good so far. Looks like we got that joint we drilled in place. I can push these a little tighter, tap them if you want to, but as long as they're pretty close, the clamps will finish pulling them tight. So, and then these ones, as I've said before, usually these two different stretchers are so close to each other, I've been fine with one clamp in between them. We also have epoxy, which is a little forgiving. This one is still not quite pulling this tight up here, but I'm finding some of these have a hairline gap between the stretchers and the legs, even clamped all the way tight. I found that on one of the other ones, and I think some of these mortises may just be bottoming out. And maybe I should have tried scraping the ends of them a little bit, but you really shouldn't have to. It really should go nice and tight regardless of what I'm doing. And actually it looks like maybe just a tiny bit open on the top where we'll never see it. It's tight, so you can't see what I'm doing from there, but it's this gap right here. On the other one it was tight. I got it tightened here, hairline on the top, but the seat's going to cover it. And with that much force on the clamps on something that we know was together and was together well before, I think it's safe to assume that that is just where the wood goes. If it was a joint that I had made myself from scratch, maybe I'd be, well, I probably would have done a lot more dry fitting for one thing. Tapped it all together, make sure it was good, maybe trued that up. But I think it's pretty good. Of course, the other end of this popped off again, which is a little frustrating. Oh, I managed to spill epoxy on my whole roll of paper towels. Nice. I was going to use that as a pad, and I think I just want to set the tape down that I sometimes use. Did I throw that in here, or did I put that back on the other shelf? I probably put that back on the other shelf, didn't I? Let's just stick a little bit of this scrap of wood back there, because we definitely don't want metal on metal directly on the wood, marking up this nice finished surfaces. And then this other end with the screw closest to us, of course, does still have the cap on there. I think I really should just hot melt glue those caps on or something, because that drives me a little nuts sometimes. Case in point, this thing is mostly staying upright, but I could run and get some tape too. But now I'm on camera, and do we do this the awkward way on camera, or do we run off camera all weird, or do what? Also, don't have a dedicated workspace here, so it's not like I'm going to have all my clamps on a rack and just grab another one. Oh, and it's rolling on me too. That's not helping. Oh, that is really frustrating. How is that rolling like that? Is this going to be... Well, that's not going to help us. Okay, there we go. Now we're getting a bite. Doesn't take much. Yeah, see, now this one here, tiniest... Well, is that a hairline gap, or am I just getting a shadow there? Yeah, so there's a little bit of a hairline gap. But I kind of think that's just as tight as these go. Oh, no, we got a little bit there, too. It really should be just pulling itself together. So let's coax it along a little bit. The rubber mallet. And so actually, might have been better doing this the other way, because this swivel will take up some of the slack on the rounded back on this chair here. A little bit higher. Let's see what that does. I hope our new thing isn't just a tiny bit long. Let's go a little higher. Try to get a little more of the force a little closer to the upper stretcher. But it was doing the same thing on the other one. So, why? So it might just be as good as it goes there. That seems a little crazy though. And it's not like that new dowel that we put into our tenon is affecting us, because these are tight down here. Oh, and this was the one that did have the old glue on it. Something is up with somehow when that got glued up previously. I forgot about that, and you can even see it right there. I kind of want to try tapping this together, but I mean, if the clamp isn't pulling it tight, that might just be as much as it's going to do. I think we just got to live with that. I think that's just as far as it's going to go. Unfortunately. And maybe I can try putting something in there to fill up the gap, but I think for whatever reason, I hope I didn't get something around the end of that mortise or that tenon or mortise that's screwing us up. Like, it seems pretty unlikely. I kind of think there's just something with this chair, and I just don't know if there's really a lot I could do with it. I could pull this all the way back apart and try, but it's a low chance of it going, and it's of us getting it tighter, and then we've got a huge mess of epoxy, and if the epoxy starts setting up on us, I think I'm just gonna go for it. But I'm gonna get this off. We do want to get all this epoxy. Yeah, it's the same thing up here too. This back one is a little bit funny. But there's just, because that was open before, and I thought it was glued a little bit open. Somebody fixing it and not taking it all the way apart. So I don't know what the deal is, but it's going to be plenty strong. We've got the mortises and tenons all the way together. We got all the epoxy in there. We just really want to get all of this stuff off of here before it sets up, because once this epoxy sets, it'll never come off. Well, we'll have to scrape off that little bit of glue from the old repair. Maybe that would have been easier to do. And I'm using this blue towel mostly just to wipe up after the orange towel, make sure there's no residue the orange didn't get. The orange towels are very good at taking any of that stuff off of there. But if you don't, they also leave the surface looking a little bit wet, and it could be hard to tell. Got some pretty good light, but if you need to, you can always get your phone going on there, really take a good look with the phone. And I think we're going to call that good there. Pretty much all that's left. Well, I'll have to do a little cleanup of that glue spot and a little nick I made in the back there. Otherwise, we just have let this set at least overnight. This epoxy is very slow drying. And then we'll put the seat on, and we should be set to jet. Thank you for watching. I'm David, your home repair coach. If this was helpful, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you here for the last little bit of this chair series shortly.